Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Miraculous Ladybug, The New Powerpuff Girls, and Archer. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Delaney Stovall.
Hello.
Today, Delaney and I will be discussing episode 17 of Miraculous Ladybug.
Whatever.
Antibug. Delaney and I have been going through Miraculous Ladybug every week here on the Overly Animated Podcast. Recently, we've been doing the French version of the show, although we originally covered the English dub on Nickelodeon. Apparently, in some country, the English dub is again catching back up, so we might have the option of going for either one again. Not the United States though. That's for sure. So yeah, we're discussing the French version of Antibug. Check us out at overlyanimated.com, and you can search for us on iTunes. Search for the Overly Animated Podcast there, or your favorite podcatcher. We are spoilers for everything up until Antibug and before on the French airing order. Delaney and I have not seen episodes past this. Let's get into Antibug here. Quite a notable episode in many ways, Delaney. So, general impressions of the episode. Were you favorable towards it?
My favorite episode thus far. It's such a good episode
thus far. Wow,
it's so good.
It beats
I loved it.
Lady Wi-Fi, really.
Oh, that's tough though. I think structurally this is like the best episode thus far.
Is that what stood out to you? The structure of it.
The structure of the episode, like, we literally just start off with a villain, which we may have done that before, but, like, also we have two villains in one episode, which raises the question, why doesn't Hawkmoth just, like, spam Paris and just have, like, 5,000 people attack them?
That definitely raises that question, yeah.
Like, but, I don't know, just such... And also, like, we were like, okay, Chloe's going to be a villain and Sabrina's going to be a villain. And then we get both of them in the same episode. A+.
Yeah. Pretty great. So the structure of this episode, very notable. Obviously, two villains, two akumas, everything, etc., etc. And also, just it was very notable how in the beginning there was already like a villain, a bad guy, and we didn't know yet, right? So they didn't actually have to present us the akumatizing of Sabrina, which was pretty notable, and I think that really worked. Like, it was very refreshing to not have the same thing over and over.
Not to have somebody out in the park and then you're blah blah blah. We only had to get that once.
Yeah, we only had to have the dejected.
So you have Hawkmoth's crap like once.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Hawkmoth still though. Yeah, so I think this episode was good. I agree. I don't know if it was the best. I mean, like, there's some downsides to it too. Like, we had to have 2 Lucky Charms, 2 transforming there's 4 transforming sequences, like tons of there's probably a solid 2 minutes of reused animation in the episode. So I mean, that's something I've been harping on for a while, but it's especially notable when you just do it over and over. But I mean, come on, Chloe's one of my favorite characters, so this was the best, right? Definitely.
And we have Marinette being Ladybug when she's not Ladybug. A+ stuff.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know if they did enough with that, but it was an interesting concept.
They didn't really, but then it's also like, how much can they do before finally they get caught? Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't really know how Cat Noir did not see her as when that happens. And of course we have more infuriating. How do you not see this? How do they not know it?
It's so come on.
Yeah, I don't know if I thought it was one of the best episode of the series, but I think it was definitely good. We'll go over it and we'll see what all the different types of things there are. But yeah, I think obviously very strong. I mean, I somewhat question the decision to lump the Sabrina and Chloe episodes into one when we have a bunch of pointless villains that we don't know over and over.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also makes sense, of course, because they're always together and stuff. So I think that's interesting.
It makes a lot of I think this is we talk about there's a lot of villains who we don't know and it's silly, but it does work here that they feed into each other. And also, it's kind of now we have an episode of 2 villains, so it's theoretically, at some point, Hawkmoth could be you had a bad day, you get akumatized. You had a bad day, you, I feel like that we should have an episode like that, because it's such an obvious move.
Yeah, I mean, it's this. I feel like this episode somewhat breaks the rules that we've seen before, right? We see him akumatize 2 people in a row. we
like
see,
in the same day.
Yeah, we see, Marinette like very quickly transform back, even though
Cat Noir,
Tiki needs some
not at
giant
all.
cookie.
Well, and Cat Noir didn't have a problem at all.
Yeah,
Like, and
which is
he always has to transform
I
before she
suppose
does.
it's because he did not use
He's
Cataclysm.
Cataclysm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
But
guess
they're
that's what
still
it
on a
was.
timer. Granted, to be fair, Marinette did use Lucky Charm like super early, so
Yeah, we'll discuss that. I think that I guess the canon rule is that once they use the power, then it sets the timer off. I guess
yeah.
that's how that works. Yeah. I'm not sure. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I guess that's the internal logic. Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, it took you 17 episodes in." I mean, we knew that before, but all because you guys have
Yeah.
said it. But also, it's never been relevant because whenever they transform, they always use the power. This is maybe the first time that they didn't, or something. Maybe it happened before this, but yeah, I do think a lot of the mythology elements of the show just always being used one after another make it hard to differentiate. It's like the difference between the the akuma, yeah, everything, like the akumas, the miraculous, like it's all just
The Kwami.
the kwami. It all just serves the same purpose, I guess, in every episode when you do the same thing over and over. So you can actually kind of learn about the internal mythology when you change it up and differentiate the elements, even though they barely did that here.
I mean, for a while we thought. I mean, when we knew that it was like, oh, they used the power, blah blah blah. It just, I think, for a while we also thought Cat Noir was just weaker than Ladybug too.
Which I think is true. Still,
Yeah, I just think
I
that's
still
true.
think that's true. But maybe, yeah. I mean, he goes one-on-one with akumatized Chloe, and she very quickly beats him and ties him up
ties
and
him up.
holds him over the street by his own pole. Yeah, so I feel like this episode supports that theory.
Yeah.
What do we think of their shipping check-in on Ladybug and Cat Noir's development here? They seemed pretty. I think this episode to me seems like it's in the second half of the season in terms of like their closeness.
Yeah, I mean they're like friendly. It's not like, it's also like not overtly romantic in this episode. So like for once, Cat Noir wasn't like unbearably irritating.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We still had a lot of like not reacting well to it from Marinette, but yeah.
It's so funny when he hands her the flower, and then she just immediately puts it back.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think it's maybe not necessarily overtly romantic from the interactions, but that's interesting.
Yeah, it's more like we're a team, like we work well together.
Yeah, so I think that was like one of the big these episodes have like these small themes that they try to introduce. There's this we're a team type thing, and I guess there's the other one in this episode was Marinette needs to listen to people, which I didn't love, but that was definitely a theme going on here.
I think they could have done something a lot more interesting in that Marinette should be like, she's a hero, and despite her feelings for Chloe, she should like she's Ladybug, like it's her job to save people. I feel like that would have been a more interesting direction to go than like Marinette should just listen to people. Like really?
So I think
Marinette does listen.
Marinette
so, like,
does, yeah. Ridiculous. I think putting like 3 examples back to back of her not doing so is not enough to convince me that the previous 16 episodes that I hadn't seen that. I do. So I think about these like themes that they try to introduce. One of our big early criticisms of the show, I would say, and it's just kind of going back to our episode 1 podcast, was that the show is very like flashy and superficial, but without a lot of depth to it. And so 17 episodes since then, we can check in on that. I think that certainly there's been more depth than early on, but at the same time, I still think there's a lot of lack of kind of depth of plot and thematics still within the show. And I think it's just
character.
It's there's a lot of character, right? And the plot is not really there. And it's there. It's whatever it's going to be, right? But I think like thematic wise, I never really take anything big away from any episode. Some episodes try to include an overt moral. I think we saw that a few times ago.
Yeah.
Some episodes have these subtle themes, like not really subtle. These just small themes, like these one, like teamwork, and they sometimes throw it in your face, so it's not subtle. But I just don't think any of those serve any sort of higher like critical meaning purpose. I think they're kind of just there. None of that. I guess they're okay to have. I almost think they maybe distract from what the show is trying to do more than more than if they like weren't there. If they did tried to do like nothing thematics and just accepted that the show right now is all flash and character. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like they're pretty unsuccessful in they like do this every episode too, and there's always just like it's either like Marinette needs to learn some lesson or there's something great about what's going on in the show's interactions between the characters, and I feel like they're pretty universally unsuccessful with these.
Yes, 100%. And it's like, and it actually kind of weakens Marinette's character in a lot of ways because a lot of times we're just backtracking. I'm like, why do we like the fact like this plot like, oh, Marinette doesn't listen. Like, yeah, she does. I don't really understand. Well, you see a character for several episodes, and then we have an episode like this, and it's like, oh, let's just take their character back like 4 episodes. Granted, I understand like we're not necessarily saying it in a particular order, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to do this.
Yeah, it's hard to do that type of character building with Marinette when the episodes aren't in order, because it's like okay, if this was an early episode, I could see it, but
Yeah.
we've gotten similar things like taking Cat Noir seriously. That's probably been a theme before, and that's just the same thing as this. And it's like we've seen her deal with these things before, and just reverting her and then having her learn the lesson again isn't going to be really successful, I don't think.
Also, this is the first episode we have where like they don't immediately really like we don't usually have this debate about where the Akuma is. Like,
Yeah, that was interesting.
like I think we've had a few times before where they're like, we're not 100% sure where it is, but like we're gonna keep fighting until we figure it out. But this is literally like we broke the wrong thing. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It
Like,
seemed
I just
it seems like we've done that recently a few times. The like which thing is the Akuma, but it hasn't really been a plot point like it was here.
yeah, and like this went on for a really long time too. Like, I don't know, it's just weird because that's the thing. We have these episodes where it's just like Marinette's super competent and like she just does whatever and like it always works. They get saved and Marinette's super smart, and then we have an episode like this and it's like I'm really not sure how I feel about this. Or we like it doesn't because when you have like 15 episodes where Marinette knows what the Akuma is and they're like, or Cat Noir is like, hey, it's the hat or whatever, or like. And they do it. It's not really a big problem. And then you have this one episode where they're not sure. I mean, obviously she's invisible, so that's fair. But it's like weird, just a weird thing to do that.
Yeah, I think it's on its own. I think it worked, but yeah, if you hold it up to like them instantly knowing the Akuma in other episodes, then it's like why is this happening here? Let's get into some specifics, and then we can hit on some other points. So definitely like kind of a 2-part episode. We start with Invisible Sabrina. What do we think of the Invisible? What's the Invisible One? At first,
Right.
it kind of seemed like this was the most OP villain ever because she just like 2 minutes into the episode almost snags the earring like
For
very
real.
quickly.
Also, like she should be able to get the earrings. How on earth? Like it's just I'm becoming increasingly frustrated with these villains who can so obviously like get the miraculouses and they don't. Like
Yeah.
I'm beginning to feel for Hawkmoth. Like
Oh, okay, I see.
I am beginning to be like, this is really not that hard.
So he just has to go do it himself then. I think that's the solution.
I mean, this is so I don't. An invisible villain is like obviously. Also, if he can make people invisible, why does he bother making anyone else villains? Like, if you can just make them invisible, why do we have to have like an Egyptian god villain? Like, if you can be invisible, I don't like.
Yeah, we've said this before, which is like, why isn't everyone as powerful as this one? Right? At the same time,
So-
all it takes is just throwing glitter on her, too.
Which I did appreciate that it was glitter. Like
Yeah,
that was,
it was good.
pretty good.
Yeah, looking at the beginning of my notes on the episode, I think that the first 8-ish minutes were definitely the strongest part of the episode. I mean, I loved the Chloe in the second half, but just the structure of kind of being confused as to why it seemed like we had an akumatized person, but not having seen that before, and then backtracking and learning like the origins of it, I think was just very successful, like structure wise for the episode. In the beginning, we have Chloe just like have this weird scene of Chloe looking for clothes, and she apparently has nothing to wear, and then there's an invisible person who takes the shoes, and she's like, "Come back, shoes. Actually, it wasn't true. I adore you." I like all the Chloe here. I mean, where are you on Chloe after this episode?
Chloe cracks me up. Like I enjoy Chloe.
I think earlier on in the season, a lot of we were maybe like, and a lot of people agreed, it's like Chloe's maybe not one of the best characters on the show. I feel like she's had a lot of characterization recently.
So they've made her more like, she's also like more interesting than just like the mean girl at school.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true, and especially since we've realized that she's not the popular girl, like no one particularly likes her. Yeah, it's
and also she's obsessed with Ladybug, which is hilarious.
Which is great.
Like, it's so good.
I think Chloe's probably the fourth most characterized person on the show at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, definitely.
Like,
and for a while, in some ways, she's more characterized than Adrien, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were going to separate Adrien and Cat Noir, I think that'd be true. Like, we had one episode of Adrien characterization, really.
Yeah.
Like, the gamer episode.
That's the thing. Granted, that's also complicated because, like we've talked before, Marinette and Ladybug aren't really that different. Like, Ladybug just seems obviously to be the more confident, which that's a very typical superhero trope. You see that with, all superheroes in their disguises from, Superman, Supergirl, all of them. Like, they're more confident as their super selves, and it's also like disguise who they really are, because if they like because their disguises are so terrible. And then when you have but with Adrien, it seems very different. Like, he doesn't like Adrien and Cat Noir. Like, what? They're not very similar, like, personality wise. Which is weird because they're the same person. So I do think you can kind of separate them a little bit. I think
a little bit. Yeah, I think probably we should be trying to reconcile the two presentations of the character. I don't think the show has done a great job of. I know that there's these little extra things, but I think that we should not consider them. Like, I don't think the show itself has done a great job of reconciling the differences between Cat Noir and Adrien. And I mean, I kind of understand.
It's almost believable that Marinette doesn't like have any idea that Cat Noir is her crush. Like, it's kind of believable because they act very differently.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think at this point, like, I kind of have a good sense of why Adrien acts like he does, and the difference, and like the believability of the two sides of him. But I think
it makes sense, but it's annoying because it's just because he's in love with Ladybug.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like I've gained this knowledge kind of through outside interactions of the show, not like through the show itself. Like, I've had conversations with commenters and stuff, and I don't think that the show itself really has done a great job explaining that, and I'm not sure if it's wanted to yet. I don't know what the overall point here is, but I mean, that being said, like, Adrien's characterization hasn't been super great because the show itself hasn't done a great job of reconciling it with his.
I haven't had any outside because I literally just watched the show because Cat Noir is not my favorite character, so I don't really care about, like, I don't go on Tumblr and like Cat Noir. Nope, don't care.
You don't go on the Cat Noir tag on Tumblr?
No, it's just Marinette because she's great.
You go on the Marinette tag though?
Ladybug tag sometimes.
Spoilers.
But like, I have to avoid spoilers. It's very difficult. But like, it's just. I mean, I agree that they're not doing like a very good job. Like, you can almost buy it. Of course, they don't know Adrien's Cat Noir because, like, who's gonna guess?
Yeah, and I don't want to particularly like say bad characterization because I think the show could be trying to do something that will become clearer.
It's not necessarily bad characterization. It's just like, honestly, it's just like there's just this divide.
It's just what the show is presenting, right? Like, and we're not 100% clear why they're doing that yet. It's possible that will serve some purpose.
Well, to be honest, it could be a plot point that maybe he's having a struggle between like being Adrien and being Cat Noir.
I know.
Like,
I definitely think that's part of. That's part of it. Like, but the show hasn't really presented that in show. Like, I think that's for sure part of his character. But like, again, like, maybe until we get an episode talking about that, it's kind of just outside speculation. So. We'll see where they go with it. I think it's interesting. Adrien's characterization is kind of interesting because of the way it's presented, not necessarily because of the depth of it yet. We have the scene of them in class. Chloe is like tired. We have our Maralia scene of we had then one at the end too, of saying they're like Chloe misses Sabrina. Sabrina has been absent since yesterday, apparently, and just no one cares. Like, it's great. I'm glad she's just been an invisible person for like a whole day and no one's cared.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, they're not. I think they're not great friends like us, and they pound it or something. Or maybe
Yeah.
that's at the end. I'm not sure.
Well, Ollie's like, I like our friendship better or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And she's like, Chloe's like, there's an invisible being, but it's extremely mean, like a ghost or a unicorn without the horn. That was interesting.
What?
Here's
An
our
invisible horse?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Here's our frustrating moment of the episode. Once they realize that there's the invisible person is real, Adrian's like, "Can I go to the bathroom?" And then he leaves, and then Marinette's like, "Can I go too?" And
Like,
come on,
really?
guys.
Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
This is not that hard to piece together.
Yeah, and at this point in the episode, I start like really questioning like what's going on, because we have Marinette transforming 3 minutes into the episode.
Yes.
And I'm pretty privy to shows with a structure of things happening at certain times and them happening too early. Like I watch Survivor, and like whenever, like in Survivor, things happen at specific points in time when you're watching. So like it's transformation 3 minutes in here, like what? So then I started to question. I didn't really see it coming. I didn't think that we'd be getting a second villain, I guess, but it was definitely like notable that something was off. And of course we have back-to-back transformations, and that's super annoying.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going to happen. I wasn't expecting a second villain.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I knew. I like originally like saw that Chloe was going to be akumatized, and that didn't happen. But I try not to think about that during the episode. Chloe says, "Ladybug, I knew you'd come to save me since we're super girlfriends, you and me." Hashtag super girlfriends.
Hashtag super girlfriends.
It's canon. This was definitely my big Chloe Marinette shipping episode for sure.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Then she starts like in the background taking selfies with Ladybug.
And then Marinette's just getting like increasingly annoyed.
Yeah, it's great. And then she hugs her, and it's wonderful. They ask the butler what's going on, and he says Chloe was playing Ladybug and Cat Noir with Sabrina, and they made the plot.
Okay, so like this makes me think that they really are like a lot younger than we thought they were. Like,
this is definitely like yeah. I mean, at the same time, I think it's supposed to be weird for how, even if they're the youngest they could be is like 13 or 12, 13. Right? And it would still be weird. So I think that.
Well, I mean, from my personal experience, I was still doing this at 13, so that's why I was like, they're probably 13.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I think the age range for them is like 12 to 15, so they could be that young.
There's no telling.
They didn't. Who knows? They made the butler play Super Mustache, and he wants to give everyone mustaches in Paris, which sounds ridiculous, but at the same time, that could just be a real villain in the show. So
that could actually happen. Probably.
So yeah, I love the screenshots or the flashbacks of them, Chloe and Sabrina playing Ladybug and Cat. Those are definitely screenshot contenders for the end. It's great. Yeah.
I think it's really funny that they like play that. Like that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So good.
She goes up and Jagged Stone is back, and he thinks it's Ladybug, and then she starts pretending to be Ladybug.
It's kind of funny. And then they're still holding on to this tight universe. Like, oh, she's in the costume. It's Ladybug. But, like, it's obviously Chloe. Like,
but
really?
At the same time, if no one knows that it's Marinette just because she's wearing the costume, then, like, couldn't anyone wearing the costume seem like Ladybug?
I guess so. That's what I'm talking about. They're holding on to this in-universe real hard.
The in-universe disguise type thing. I agree. You never know anything. Even his croc is smarter than you. Who is that?
Yeah. That was Chloe to Sabrina because of Jagged Stone's crocodile.
Who was I forgot his croc's name, but that's okay.
I don't remember.
They said it last episode, but I already don't remember. Mad at Sabrina. Yes, Chloe's mad at Sabrina. She must be invisible, at least to me. Like she does. It's like she doesn't exist. I
didn't really understand why they fought. Like I didn't like. I don't really understand why
because Sabrina said it was Chloe when she was pretending to be Ladybug, and she ruins like the 2 seconds of. It was actually kind of this interesting existential moment for Chloe because it was obviously very important to her that she like actually got to escape it to be Ladybug for a second, which means that she like doesn't like herself like in her normal life, right? So I think that was kind of profound. And this line is like pretty overt. She must be invisible, at least to me. It's like she doesn't exist. Like it's pretty overt what they're doing, but at the same time, we like didn't know the invisible person was Sabrina at that point, so it worked pretty well. I think that was pretty good.
It kind of happened so fast that I was like, wait, why are they fighting? I'm confused.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like what they did with all this though, and some great flashbacks, some great storytelling through kind of asynchronous time wise, etc. stuff. They think it's Sabrina, I guess. Yeah, the cat and Ladybug. Chloe doesn't think so. Rose. Oh yeah, the background animation. Cat giving Ladybug a rose, and then she's like no, and then it's like when we see, I guess we see her turn into the Invisible One or something, or we see him reference her, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
to her, like talk to her through the weird, however they're communicating, which is also not clear.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Like, how is Hawkmoth communicating with them?
I guess it's through the akuma.
Which doesn't make sense, but okay. I guess we can. I mean, the Kumas don't make
If
sense.
that's
So.
if that's the logic loophole you want to focus on,
No, I
that's
don't.
fine.
Okay,
But I mean,
I'm not going to focus on that.
given the show,
She almost gets the miraculous. Chloe is going into her Ladybug costume, and then 9 minutes in, Marinette Lucky Charms, which is super notable to me because I
Yes.
complained about how every episode it's at the last second, and here she is, 9 minutes in, using Lucky Charm.
like,
Yeah, Marinette tackles. Oh yeah, then Chloe comes in dressed as Ladybug, and then Marinette like tackles her and hashtag shipping. Like it was great, and then like holds her shoulders, and they're super close the entire time, and
she like throws her in an elevator.
and then she throws her in like what, an elevator or closet or something. Yeah, I don't remember. It's wonderful. Glitter. Yeah, they do the glitter thing on Sabrina. Chloe's like the Kuma's in the brooch or the bag, and Marina puts Chloe, wherever she puts her. I guess elevator made more sense because she's not there later. Blah. Then they miraculous Ladybug 11 minutes in, and that was also very notable. They don't pound it. Instead, Adrien is upset that she didn't listen to Chloe. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's like it's weird.
Why does Adrien care?
That's my thing, because my thing is like it's so. We've had moments like this before where where they kind of like forget that they're not really supposed to know who people are, or that like they're not supposed to have this familiarity with like who they save. So like that part like kind of made sense. Like, hey, you should have listened. Like, hey, I know her. Like, blah blah blah. And he at this point he knows that she knows Chloe too, but like, it's weird. I didn't really like. I just hate this whole like Marinette, you need to listen thing because like it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't think it was presented very well.
I mean, yes, Chloe was. She should have listened to Chloe because Chloe's like, hey, I gave her this brooch. Like, it's probably in the brooch. Granted, that raises questions about why everyone in Paris is such an expert on how all of this works.
I guess Chloe, it makes sense because she's the fan.
I mean, because she's obsessed with Ladybug. But like, I hate this whole like.
I don't like the concept. It wasn't presented well. I don't know if it makes sense that Adrien cares about Chloe particularly. I guess the logic is that she empathizes because Marinette doesn't always listen to him. But they didn't.
See, but the thing too is that like Marinette doesn't like not listen to Cat Noir. Like she doesn't just ignore him or like.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's not like it's never like Cat Noir's like, oh, we should do this. And she's like, you're stupid. We're not going to do that. Like that's not what she does.
Yeah,
so
really
I don't really
happen that much. I agree.
All like this entire like plot makes no sense because like there's no like there's nothing for it. It makes like this doesn't happen. Like I don't know why we have to have this. Yeah. It's not real.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't make that. I guess that's maybe the logic though. But whatever. Chloe's like, I was your biggest fan, but now it's over. Sad. I was sad at that. And then she gets akumatized.
It was pretty sad.
She gets akumatized in her fake miraculous, which is pretty funny.
It's pretty good.
She's Antibug. She's reverse Ladybug colors. She's watching Marinette on the screen, and then she blows her a kiss, and like, oh my god, the shipping! It's wonderful.
So much shipping.
Yeah. What's the ship name? I forget.
I have no idea.
Chloette, Marley.
Probably Chloette. I
Marley.
think it's probably Chloette.
Yeah. I think that's one of my top ships now for the show for sure after this episode. Yeah. They like instantly know it's Chloe. Apparently, I don't know how they knew that.
Well, we've gotten to the point that now they don't like pretend.
But like, how do they know it's her? She's akumatized. I know.
That's not they do this. We've had it before. We're like, oh, who is it? Oh, it's blah blah blah. But now every time it's like one of their classmates, they're like, oh, it's blah blah blah.
What's
like,
the identifier here? Like, is it? Like, I don't understand. I mean, it's like obviously that's Chloe. It looks like Chloe. Yeah, but that's not the internal logic, you know.
Yeah, so there's a lot of inconsistency. They just kind of just go with it.
Marinette's about to de-transform, which is what the subtitles say. I don't remember if that's what it was called in English, de-transform.
I can't.
I don't think they had a word for it. I think they probably just like verbed it, or like they just
Well, I think they just said like transformed. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna revert or
revert, yeah, something like that. It's fine trying to find some Tiki something to eat. She just grabs this cookie. What do you think of Tiki eating this giant cookie?
it's bigger than she is.
Yeah,
I mean,
this does not gel with my concept of evil Tiki. I don't think she'd like cookies.
I mean, I don't think she really cares. I think she just needs to eat stuff, which is an interesting concept too. Like it's very.
Why is she eating people food?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why do the kwamis eat people food? I don't understand.
Well, it's like, what else would they? I mean, like, what is there special kwami food? And the thing is, like, well, it's like
I think they eat humans.
They eat humans.
Yeah.
Well, it's also this is like maybe the third time we've seen Tiki eat.
Yeah, we usually see Plog eating, but not Tiki.
Well, Plog just always wants cheese. Tiki apparently only eats when she needs to, which I guess that's like, who knows what that's going on about.
I mean, that's kind of like amethyst versus pearl as gems. I think that's exactly what that is. Chloe ties Cat to his own pole. His 2 minutes could not last versus her. And then Tiki starts telling Marinette to save him. You are Ladybug with or without your suit, she says. And then Tiki's like, Marinette, like, don't ignore me like you did with Chloe. So everyone's pissed at Marinette now, apparently, for ignoring.
Yeah, which like makes like it's so annoying. Like this makes no sense.
I'm all for ignoring Tiki. Actually, I'm not for ignoring Tiki because if you ignore her, then she'll kill you. So I think that's not a good
right.
move.
But I mean, I really did like this part though because I've been wanting, like, this is something I really like about like superheroes and like having the dual identity is that like. And it's very interesting here too because we're still not 100% sure like how their powers like really function. Like obviously we know it's like the kwami and like the miraculous, but like are they still that like what's the extent of their abilities and how closely tied is it to like really them? And I kind of like that you're still Ladybug even when you're not like Ladybug.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting concept. It just like we didn't really see what happens. Right. She went to save Cat and then like. We didn't see. Did he see her? He gets freed. Yeah. Did he see that it was Marinette? How did he not see that?
Well, I would have liked to see more of her. Like actually, like obviously she's smart and she solved the problem. And like
we didn't see her solve the problem either. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I would have liked it if it had been more about like she maybe still has like kind of her abilities.
Yeah, because Tiki said you're still Ladybug with or without the suit. Does that mean she still retains her abilities? Is that what that means, or is it more of like an existential statement? Like
that's what I would prefer, but I think they were going for the existential.
That's what I thought they were doing. Yeah,
because I would like an episode at some point where like they're incapable of transforming and like they have to do this, and it turns out that they do kind of have their powers. Because it still doesn't make a lot of sense that if it's just the suit, then what's it matter if it's them? Like anyone could be Ladybug, or which I guess that's why he wants the Miraculouses. Like. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Interesting thing to think about. Let us know what you think of that topic. Like, to what extent are their powers predicated on transforming? Then she transforms again, and we have more reused animation.
Yep.
It's in the yo-yo. No, it's in the earring. Says Cat.
Well, okay, that was that. Obviously, it's not in the yo-yo. The yo-yo just broke. Like that really ticked me off. I was like, no, don't dumb down Marinette. Like, come on.
I wasn't thinking about that either. So I feel. And she's like, "That's not bad advice." And then she rings his bell. And then he's happy. That's like the second.
It was pretty funny when she like that was funny. I like that.
That's like the last episode. She like scratched him under the chin. It's like she's clearly just treating him like a cat. It's great.
It's pretty funny.
He was happy that his pointless bell was rang.
It's so. Why does he have a bell? Like obviously, like one like he can't be stealthy. He has a bell.
Yeah.
But the bell doesn't ring?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this part of the episode I think is pretty great. Then they start having a yo-yo battle. Then she's like, "Lucky charm," because that's how she says it in French. And then Chloe's anti-charm. It's great. And then she gets a bag of marbles, and Chloe gets this giant cloud from Final Fantasy VII type sword. Yeah,
they're making fun of Ladybug. Like,
yes, they are.
Obviously, why doesn't she have a giant sword? Like. Because it never really gives her anything. Like, obviously she gets something. She's like, oh, I can solve this problem. But it's like, who makes powers where it's like, oh, you need help right now? Your magic power is going to be solving puzzles. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I think it was good, like self-referential type segment.
It was pretty funny that like she gets a massive sword.
Yeah,
which apparently cut through metal because it hit the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, she like trips her with the marbles and she throws the sword, and it like there's this weird shot of like pigeons kissing and then the sword.
Yeah,
it's like I can't tell if that was like a very French thing or not to show on screen.
Well,
probably.
Well, I feel like it's funny because like Paris is the city of love, and there's the Eiffel Tower, and like it was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then
you shouldn't be flinging giant swords around Paris. I feel like though, like that wasn't a very safe thing to do.
Yeah, don't try that at home, kids. French kids.
Also, they literally don't care. They just damage everything because they know it's all going to get fixed.
Yeah,
like what the heck?
My question is, could they just like kill someone and then they'd come back to life?
Yeah, that's the thing because like everything gets fixed. Like, and this is like a big thing in superhero, like with especially the Avengers. Like you guys caused like $9 billion in damage. Can you tone it down a little bit? But then, like, that's not a problem here. It all gets fixed, which, I mean, that's a convenient, like, thing. But, like, really?
Let us know what you think of that. To what extent does Miraculous Ladybug at the end of the episode revert things? Like, seriously, could one of them die and then they come back? Like, is that possible?
I feel like villains kill people sometimes. Or they get, like, turned into, like, well, that was, like, weird.
Into things, yeah.
Like, well, we've had, like, people, like, straight up kind of die. Like, we've turned them into, like, energy balls.
I mean, like, I don't think the show's presenting that as like death, but yeah, they get turned into things.
Like, what? Well, they go away. It's like where are they when this happens? Can the Lucky Charm bring things back into existence?
Miraculous Ladybug, yeah. Can that bring
crazy stuff?
Also, what like to the extent as Lucky Charm's powers? That's also interesting. But yeah, let's know two things. So then they're like Chloe's like, you rely on Cat Noir, and then she's like, we're a team, and then she like puts her arm on his shoulder or something, and then both their Miraculouses are about to run out. Or wait, oh yeah, both. Then like Marinette's Miraculous is about to run out again, and then so is Chloe's. Like what?
Yeah, what?
I guess that's how that works. Why does?
Well, it doesn't make like why? Okay, if you can make someone invisible.
Can't you just subvert the drawback of Marinette's thing?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah. And then Cat finally does Cataclysm and traps him, and then Marinette does all the stuff again. Yep. And Chloe's like, she's on Transform. I'll stay your most prestigious fan, she says.
Okay, so question. Like, sometimes it's like they don't remember what happens, but she clearly remembers what happened. Like, what?
No, they're referencing stuff that happened before she was transformed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, do people like? So I mean, I feel like they've shown that like people don't really remember what they do.
This one was notable because it was like they instantly expected her to remember what happened right before she was transformed. So maybe it's just like a hole in your memory. And
like it's just like a blank space.
Yeah, that might be that's what it seems like from this episode. They're like, you should make up with Sabrina. Thanks for the advice, Cat, says Marinette, I assume. Then they have this like weird eye thing. They like walking by each other. Yeah, it wasn't like romantic or anything. It was just weird.
No, it was just like it was just weird.
Yeah.
What?
That is not in the final
screenshot. Kind of awkward.
It was a little bit awkward. Sabrina and Chloe make up. Alia and Marinette pound it, and then we have the weird ending shot of I don't. What is it again? It's
like Cat, and it's like Ladybug,
and then Ladybug, and then Marinette, and then there's Alia and Marinette pounding it, and then there's random Adrien in front of them.
It's so weird. Like, what?
That leads us into our screenshot choices. So I originally had like 10. I had to limit it on my own to like 7.
Well, good. Because I would have been like really dealing just more every time.
But yeah, no, originally I was like, oh, there's not that many, but then it just kept coming. So do you see them yet?
God. Yes.
So let's go through them. So the first one is I had like 3 shots of Cat, Sabrina, and Lady Chloe in the flashbacks, but this was the best one, I think, and it's
Lady Chloe.
Lady Chloe, yeah, it's pretty. That's also could be a ship name, but this one's pretty great. Then the second one is our ship bait. There's a few of them, but Cat handing Ladybug the rose. Of note,
shitbait.
Of note, after this shot, she instantly throws it to the floor. So let's just note that.
Yeah. No, she puts it in the vase.
Oh,
and
she
then
puts it in the vase. Okay.
Sabrina moves it, and that's when Cat's like, "OMG, the Invisible Girl's here."
Oh yeah. Here's our leading contender, the third one.
I've decided on this one. I don't need to see the rest of them.
Marinette as Ladybug tackling Chloe dressed up as Ladybug in the beginning of the episode, and her like straddling her on top of her. It's absolutely wonderful.
Pretty good.
This is probably it.
A+.
Yeah. This fourth one is my gorge Marinette shot of the week of her like towering over Chloe in the elevator.
Like she can step on my face. Like that's what this is. Like,
okay, you said it, not me. That's what the intent was. But there's this one of Marinette ringing Ladybug ringing Cat's bell, which I wasn't captured very well, but it's interesting. But the notable thing is the next one, which is
the next one's pretty good.
Which is like him being like thank you, going closer, and she's like absolutely disgusted in this shot.
You know, like this is a really good one. Like the look on her face is so good.
It's great, yeah. This is
like,
this is the anti-ship bait shot of the week.
Yep, this is so good.
Then the next one is it's a pretty good shot of the two of them. When I think the subtitles.
It's a little like superhero family pic. Like
yeah,
it's
her arm on his shoulder when it says we're a team. And then in the last one's the ending shot that we already described,
which makes like -5 cents.
Yeah, which is just a random assortment of our characters.
Well, 1 and 3 are really good.
One is I really like 1. I think 2 would in a different week 2 would be good enough, but 3 is so good.
Like I feel like it's between 3 and whichever
also
one.
4. Also 4 is wonderful. We're not gonna actually do the disgusted one, but if someone comments on YouTube, I can link you to that shop. But yeah,
it's so good though. It's
really
such a good picture.
But I mean,
I feel like
we have.
It has to be free. It has to be free.
It's so good. Like, come on.
It's so good.
This is the shipping moment. Yeah, it's actual screenshot from the show. Like, come on, it's great.
Of Marinette straddling Chloe.
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
Quality stuff.
It's canon. Okay.
It's canon.
So there you go. There's our screenshot selection. Overall, so you think this is in the top tier of episodes?
Yes,
Do you think it's number 1?
I mean, you brought up Lady Wi-Fi, which forgot how much I am like literally in love with Alia.
Let's go. Here's my top tier of episodes. Let's go through this. I think Lady Wi-Fi. I think Timebreaker.
Yeah. The Storm one.
Stormy Weather. I guess that might be in. That might be there. We have. I can't remember what else I put in this tier. It's potentially Gamer. No, I don't think Gamer makes it. It's like right there, and then I think this episode.
Yeah, Gamer's pretty good.
This episode does make the top tier. I agree. Yeah.
Like this episode's pretty good.
There's Evil Strader. Was that? I don't remember. There's
the Illustrator.
There's a lot of Eva. There's a lot of episodes. Anyway, yeah, I think
a lot of episodes.
I probably wouldn't put this one, but I think it's there. Yeah.
For me, this one is like one of the best episodes.
Cool.
Let
us know what you thought of Antibug, of anything we've commented on. YouTube comments, overlyanimated.com, comments on the article, Tumblr asks, Twitter. And we'll be back next week covering The Puppeteer. Interesting. The Puppeteer.
Is that what this weird screenshot was that you sent me earlier?
What weird screenshot did I send you earlier?
That moment when...
No, that was from the earlier episode. That was from Timebreaker. I was just looking through old podcast shots.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, what is this?
I
didn't remember that particular shot.
I rediscovered
and I was like, what the heck?
Ladybug talking to Marinette in that episode,
okay.
which is like the best moment
I
of the
was
show.
like, what?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and our discussion's going to come out sometime Friday to Sunday, maybe into Monday. Who knows? There's no schedule to follow, so that's good. And eventually we'll catch up. We're on 17, kind of close. 2 months, 2 months-ish to go totally catch up. There you go.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm Dylan Nice, and that's Delaney Stovall, overlyanimated.com. Find out about everything. Find our links to YouTube and everything on overlyanimated.com. And this ad-free podcast is brought to you by our patrons. Thank you very much to Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, Jamie, Rachel, John, Ryan, Catherine, a.k.a. Hannah, Fever, Mitch, University, Beatrix, James, Nathan, William, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman, Rachel Rose, Johnny Bravo, Brian, Cookie Cat, and you too can become a patron on patreon.com/overlyanimated. Last thoughts, Stell.
I just really like this episode, and it's interesting that we had 2 villains, and finally we get Sabrina and Chloe.
Yeah, pretty good.
As villains.
And
what classmates are left? Well, there's that one girl that we're like obsessed with.
Yeah, she is akumatized. Yeah, purple hair. Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, she needs to get akumatized. Like she's next.
And the Chloette
Chloette
is real. So
canon.
It's canon.
Chloette is real.
Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.